Welcome to the Penalty Kick Podcast. I'm your host, Mike Gio, and it is time to go over the roster. Let's break down this team. Who do we got? What do they do? Are they any good? Debatable, but we do have some good players on this squad. So let's get into it because I can't wait to see these people on the pitch. I can't wait to see them play. I can't wait to see how they come together as a team. Do they work in unison? Do they work together? Do they work for each other? Do they sacrifice for each other? Because sometimes you got to do fake runs, false runs to get another person open, right? Hey, maybe your defender went forward on an attack, lost the ball. Who's going to cover the back? Who's going to get back into his place while he's still up forward trying to come back on defense? So it's all going to have to come together, and we're going to need players who fight for each other and who are determined to want to win and sacrifice if we want to see San Diego FC hopefully lift a trophy one day. Very, very early to even think in those terms. Expansion team, I think Atlanta FC United won in their second year from being an expansion team. And let me tell you this, Atlanta FC is the gold standard in terms of MLS soccer, in terms of attendance, average attendance, in terms of that city being a soccer city. So we need to come for them. We need to come get them because, hey, San Diego is better than that. San Diego is the finest soccer city, so let's make it happen. For the roster, we're going to start with the goalkeepers. The goalkeepers, we have technically 3 on the roster, but we have 4 on the full team. And one individual I want to shout out is Duran Ferri. He's one of our goalkeepers, only 18 years old. He's already loaned out. He's not going to be playing with SDFC this year. However, the reason I want to shout him out, he is from San Diego. So we got to do a hometown shout out. We have to talk about him at least for a moment because he went to Del Norte High School over in the Black Mountain Ranch area. So big shout out. Just wanted to give that shout out and a mention. But we also have another goalkeeper, Pablo Cisniega, who is from Mexico DF. He was a solid goalkeeper. The thing I like about him, you want your goalkeeper usually very, very tall. He's 6'4", so he can cover a lot of range. He can cover a lot of space. The problem sometimes with big goalkeepers is when a ball is shot low, it's hard for them to get down quickly because they're obviously coming from a higher spot. But you'd rather have that problem than sometimes, I think that there's 2 that really do have kind of starting potential in between Pablo Cisnega, and the other one is CJ Dos Santos. And CJ Dos Santos, he's also a monster of a human being, 6'4" as well, has a lot of MLS experience. He was on Inter Miami. So, I think it's between CJ Dos Santos and Pablo Cisniega. One thing I think that's going to be very, very important is not only how do these goalies save shots, but can they play with their feet? If you listen to my episode about Mikey Varas and how he wants to play and how he wants to invite the other team to press, also you're inviting pressure so you can create space in the back and in other areas. Well, that to me means you're probably going to need a goalkeeper who can be pretty good in possession, who's pretty good with their feet, pretty good with passing, at least doesn't get nervous because you can turn the ball over, and we see it actually all the time, and there's this huge debate in soccer right now. Do you even want your goalie passing the ball and dribbling the ball on that level? And some individuals say yes, because it's like an extra person to be able to pass the ball to. So it creates more space, more openings. But also, goalkeepers don't train on that all that much. So a lot of turnovers, which ends up leading to a lot of free goals. So I think whoever wins this starting spot for goalkeeper is because they're really good with their feet. Not only good with their hands and stopping shots, but good with their feet and able to execute Mikey Varas' game plan. We do have another goalkeeper on the squad, Jacob Jackson. And Jacob Jackson, I don't think he's going to start. He is, decently young at 24, and goalkeepers usually can have a longer career. But again, wanted to do a shout out for him, especially because he's also an individual from San Diego. So we have 2 goalkeepers, one on loan right now that are from San Diego. So big shout out to the San Diego folk and to those individuals on the team. Make sure to show them love. We'll also now get into the defenders. We have some pretty good defenders. We have Franco Negri, and this individual is 29, 5'9", so not too tall of a defender. But, I think he will be the starting left back on the team. He started his career in Argentina. He's played there for 6 years, but he's also been on Inter Miami as well. So he has MLS experience, but really talented and good speed, acceleration. So he can probably push the ball up the field on the wings and facilitate some of the attacks. Then we have Chris McVeigh. He usually plays center back on the defense, so one of the mid-center fielders. I do think he's going to be a starting center back. He's a really imposing figure, 6'4", so another monster. I think that's super important, not only for goalkeepers, but for defenders, especially defending crosses, being able to push people around. I think it's super important. Soccer it's more contact than, people really, really realize. Shirt pulling, tugging, pushing. I think it's super important to be physical on defense. So we also have Andres Reyes, and I do think Andre Reyes is going to be a starter, but this individual I think is going to be really the big center back in the sense of kind of the leader that's in the back and how we're going to set up. So having a leader, having someone tell other people when attackers are coming, telling other people where to set up, where to watch their backside. And so, he's strong, physical, aggressive, great in the air, and has a great football IQ. He anticipates danger really, really well, which I think is going to, again, be a benefit for communication and communicating to the other defenders. Then my personal favorite defender on this squad currently is Paddy McNair. And Paddy McNair usually plays either a center back or a right back. I think he's going to be used as a right back in our squad just because I don't see really too many right back options. He played in the Premier League, and the Premier League is hands down the best soccer league in the world. I don't think there's actually an argument. I'm not saying the best team or the one best team is from the Premier League. I think the league as a whole is just the best league in the world. So I think that Premier League experience is 1 to none. I think he probably has the best professional career experience on this squad, even above Chucky. He is a great defender, super technical, great passer out of the back. I think it is super important. But, watching his highlights, he just really reads the game well and can maintain possession from the back. This is exactly what Mike Ibarra wants and is like a huge Mike Ibarra signing and, tactically and philosophically. And so this is my favorite defender on the squad is Paddy McNair. But now we need to get into kind of the center defensive midfielders, the center midfielders, center attacking midfielders. So we're going to start with Aníbal Godoy. And he has a lot of experience. He's 34 years old. And that brings, with it a lot of wisdom. Even though you maybe don't have the legs as you once did, don't have the speed and quickness that you once did, you read the game better than anything, and you've just been playing so long, nothing really surprises you. You know where to be, know where to position. So I think he's going to be the leader of the defensive midfield because that experience, is going to carry a long way. He has over a decade in the MLS. He's really cool and calm on the ball, which I think is going to be super important, especially when you play at your pace in soccer, you usually are going to have a really good chance to win. When you're playing at someone else's pace, it's really hard to win games. So I think this is going to be a phenomenal player on our squad. And one of the newer signings, and probably one of the better signings that we've had, is Luca del Torre. And Luca del Torre is well known if you watch U.S. men's national team soccer. This guy is a baller. But not only is he a baller, we got to do another hometown shout out. Luca del Torre, shout out. You're from San Diego. Welcome home. You've been playing overseas for a long time. You just came from Celta Vigo in the Spanish Premier League. And coming home, that's just awesome. I love seeing that. Home is where the heart is. And so, Luca de la Torre coming back is not only great because he's just an absolutely phenomenal player. He went to Fulham in England and, played for Celta Vigo. And so he's been overseas for a while and been getting a lot of great experience overseas, played for the U.S. men's national team. And he's 26. This is technically kind of the prime of his career. So I hope he loves, being back here and playing in the MLS. We'll see how he adjusts because every league is just a little bit different. So there will be an adjustment period, but, this dude's all class, So he's really an above average dribbler of the ball and passing. Those are really two great skills he has. And as a center midfielder and a center attacking midfielder, I think obviously those are going to serve really well on this team, and he has to be a starter, right? But another player that's, I think, really, really fun and exciting is Manu Dua. This was our first pick in the super draft. So being a number one pick in anything, you're probably that good. He played at UC Santa Barbara. He started, as a freshman, 14 games as a freshman. So he was good right from the get-go. I would love to see him start. I don't think he will. But if Mikey Varas doesn't give him some PT, I will be perturbed. Another defensive midfielder is Jeppe Tverkov from Denmark. Center defensive midfielders, I can see him starting. I think the 4-2-3-1 is pretty apparent based off the roster, so we'll see if it's apparent to Mikey Varas. Over 100 games played, Caps, tons of experience, and reads the game well. Yeah, I could definitely see him starting next to Godoy. And so that would probably be the starting center defensive midfielder pair. Another player is Marcus Ingvardsson, and he's a big boy. He's 6'1", 28 years old, so still in the prime of his career. But he really traditional center forward, where probably not the fastest. Well, he's just not the fastest. But the thing is, he knows where to be. He knows where to position. He can hold up the ball, especially if we need to release pressure, which will then allow the wingers to go up the field, and he can pass it to him. He can distribute, the ball, and then he can play off of him. He also has an extremely high IQ, and, he won't hit you with the step over with the Vinny Juniors or the Mbappes or the Lamine Yamals, but he will get you goals. He's a traditional number 9. Where, he's just right place, right time, gets headers on the balls, get rebounds. So I think this is actually really, really important. And then we have Andres Dreyer, the newest member of the squad. He's going to be starting on the right wing. I think he's actually a great, great pickup, and I think he's going to complement Chucky in the prime age of his career. From Anderlecht in Europe, he also has 5 caps or 5 games in the EuroLeague, scoring once and providing 2 goals. So 3 goal-scoring actions, in 5 games, which is a really good return. Great experience and great skill. Again, expected to be a starter. Without further ado, we got to talk about it. This is the star player of the squad, not only in the sense of skill, but in the sense of marketing, advertising, excitement, the reason a lot of us are going to want to go watch games. Irving Lozano, also known as Chucky, which I've been saying that name a lot, even in this video, but Irving Chucky Lozano is Mexican international, has played for El Tri, played for big clubs like Napoli, won a Scudetto, which is the title for the Italian league, first Mexican international to do so. So this individual is just good at what he does. This dude is fast, crazy fast. This dude, I wouldn't say has the most step overs or the most flash, but he has this smoothness of just the way he moves with the ball and the way he's able to move around people. But also he's got a little bit of flash, enough to, get by people. But, he's good at passing, good at shooting, can really, really do it all. He's not going to be a defender. It's not going to be what he does. So, if we go into defense, does he kind of stay maybe a little bit further up the pitch to be a release valve so he can play 1-2 with Ingvardsson and then bomb up the field if he needs it. But I can see Chucky getting a lot of over-the-top balls if we can execute that. And so when we're talking about players, this is the player for San Diego FC. So what does all this mean? I'm going to throw up a graphic on the screen to show you the starting lineup. I expect them to start in a 4-2-3-1 because that's just the best formation to use, not only tactically, but the best formation to use based off this team. So the starting goalkeeper, I got CJ Dos Santos. I think, just with the MLS experience. Then at left back, we're going to start Franco Negri. Then center back, Chris McVeigh. Center back, Andres Reyes. Right back, Patty McNair. Center defensive midfield, Anibal Godoy. The other center defensive midfielder, we're going to do Jeppe Tverkov. For the attacking midfielder, I do see Luca de la Torre leading the attack. And again, I think that's going to be phenomenal. Two very experienced defensive midfielders, a phenomenal attacking midfielder. And then I do think the other two midfielders are going to be more of wings than midfielders. So attacking wings more than midfielders. And so I'm going to put Andres Dreyer kind of on the right midfield, right wing. Then I'm going to put Chucky Lozano on the left midfield, left wing. And then I'm going to put Marcus Ingvarsson at center forward. What do I think about this team? I think it's actually a very, very solid team. I do maybe see a slight weakness in center back, but when you have two good center defensive midfielders, they're going to cover those two center backs. They're going to be just ahead of those two center backs, so they can drop and really, really help out that line. So I think that's going to be good. I do think our attack can be really, really potent, especially if we understand how to work together, understand how to create triangles for the passing lanes, and just able to read each other and be on that same mental plane of knowing when someone's going to pass without really having to tell them you're going to pass. How does Mikey Varas put this all together? How does he instill his philosophy and ethos into the team? And do they execute that on the field? We won't know until we see him. But I'm Mike Gio with the Penalty Kick Podcast, and we'll see you on the next episode.